The night was alive with the sound of drums when Oba Kene came stomping down the dusty path of Umuocha village, chest puffed out, eyes blazing fire. "Who dares block my way?" he shouted, and the villagers froze, shaking in their slippers. Even the elders sitting by the market fire leaned back in their stools, muttering, "Na Oba Kene de wakaso again." That was Oba Kene. Tall, broad-shouldered, hands like iron, and temper hotter than the Hamatan sun. He didn't just walk. He claimed the earth under his feet, and everybody knew it. If he passed your compound, you bowed. If he spoke, your mouth closed. If he shouted, your heart skipped beats. And that night, as the drums echoed through the village square, he was angry. Very angry. "Ah, now so dem go do me," he bellowed, swinging his arms. Nobody answered. Nobody dared. Even the dogs hid under the hut. Oba stopped at the center of the square, chest heaving, and the firelight danced on his broad face. "Tomorrow I marry," he roared. "I want a woman wey no go ever vex me, no go ever raise voice, no go ever sabi say I dey wrong." The elders whispered among themselves. Another one will go suffer," they said quietly. But Oba was already gone, stomping toward the house he had built with pride and sweat, thinking only of Ngozi, the gentle girl from the next village. And Ngozi was quiet, beautiful, skin soft as river clay, eyes like still water. Oba Kene, at 27, thought he had struck gold. Finally, he muttered to himself, "A woman will go know her place. No wahala again. She go dey quiet like forest at night." The wedding was a small affair. Drums, dancing, people clapping. But in Oba's heart, it was a victory feast. He smiled like a man will just capture lion. And Ngozi's parents bowed and her mother whispered, "Take care of her, my son. She's gentle. She's good. She's respectful." Oba waved them off. Respect, that was his gift. He thought she would obey. That was enough. But as the first week passed, Oba Kene's sharp eyes began to see problems where no wahala exists. One evening, Ngozi served dinner. Fufu soft, soup steaming, fish roasted just right. Oba poked the fufu with his finger, stirred the soup, and suddenly his face twisted like he swallowed lemon. What is this?" he shouted, his voice cutting through the night. "Soup cold, cold like river water. Are you trying to kill me?" Ngozi's hand shook. "Ah, my husband, I am sorry. I will warm it for you. Now, warm am? You bring am cold first. I no be beggar. I know they eat cold food. You dey vex me?" Oba's chest heaved. The soup was not cold. Not at all. But Oba Kene liked to find wahala. If soup too hot, he complained. If too cold, he complains. If just right, he still finds something. That night, Ngozi got her first slap. Quietly, silently, her spirit bending like a reed in the wind. Days became nights, nights became fear. Oba's fists were law, and Ngozi's eyes were mirrors of sorrow. The villagers heard her cries sometimes, but they turned face away. "Na husband and wife matter," they said. "We no fit enter." The women shook their heads in the stream, whispering, "Poor girl." But nobody did anything. Nobody. Not her parents, not the elders. 7 years passed like that. 7 years of trembling, 7 years of silenced laughter. Ngozi grew thin like dry yam stick. Her eyes lost shine. Her smile disappeared. She existed only to cook, clean, and pray that Oba Kene's mood go change. But good moods were rare. Then one night, after a particularly harsh beating, Ngozi went to sleep and never woke again. Her body simply gave up. The village herbalist shook his head sadly. "Her spirit don't tire of suffering," he said. Oba Kene cried. Yes, cried like crocodile tears at the funeral. Villagers wept with him, pitying the man who lost the love of his life. But in his heart, he was already planning for wife number 2. 3 months later, Oba traveled to Nsirimo village, where he met Amarae, a soft-spoken young weaver with skin like morning clay and eyes like calm river. Her father, poor but proud, said, "My daughter never argue. She go serve you well. She go know your place." Oba grinned. Another quiet one. Finally, he thought he found the perfect wife. The wedding was small, the kind where drums whispered rather than shouted. Amarae moved into Oba's house with a few belongings, her head always bowed, voice soft, eyes down. From day one, she played the role well, woke early, cooked, cleaned, washed clothes, trembled when Oba raised his hand. The village nodded at Oba's power. "See, this one no go vexam," they said. But Amarae was not as quiet as she seemed. She had heard the stories before she agreed to marry. Whispers of Ngozi's suffering, the bruises, the screams, the death. And she had a plan. Not revenge in anger, but justice in patience. Every day she watched Oba Kene, learned his habits, his pride, his weakness. Every shout, every glare, every little rage, she stored like a pot, storing water for dry season. 6 moons passed. Oba grew comfortable, boasting again in the market. "See my wife? She no even breathe without my say." The villagers nodded. Some laughed, some envied. But Amarae smiled softly to herself, her hands steady, her heart patient. Then came the morning. The sun had barely climbed when Oba stomped into the kitchen, ready for breakfast as usual. But there was nothing. No fire, no food, no smell of yam or soup. "Eh? Where my food?" he shouted. Amarae looked up from the mat where she was reading quietly. "Ah, my husband, I was tired this morning. You fit cook for yourself if you want." Oba's mouth opened, closed, opened again. You dey vex me?" She stretched, yawned, smiled gently. "No vex, my husband. The kitchen dey there. You get hands, Abi?" For a moment, Oba stood frozen. Then rage boiled hotter than before. He lunged to strike her, but Amarae was ready. With one swift movement, she twisted his arm, pressed him to the floor, his face against the dot. "Ah, you witch! I beg, make you free me," he screamed. Amarae's voice was calm, almost cheerful. "No witch, my dear husband. Just a woman with sabi her strength. I know everything about you. Every slap, every scream, every time Ngozi cry. I saw it all. And I decided, you need to learn wahala you never sabi." Oba Kene froze, sweat running down his forehead. For the first time, the mighty lion trembled. She pressed him slightly, her eyes steady. "From today, you cook, you clean, you wash clothes, you obey. Else, I go tell the elders everything, you go lose all." "Everything," Oba gasped. I can't." "No." Amarae laughed softly. "You can. You must. The choice day simple, my husband. Serve or face shame, that was the beginning. From that day, the lion of Umuocha became a servant in his own house, humbled and broken. The sun had barely touched the hut when Oba Kene shuffled into the compound, head low, muscles tight from sleeping on the floor that night. Amarae sat under the mango tree, weaving quietly, her eyes on the thread, calm as the river. She looked up as he approached. "Ah, you dey back?" she said softly, voice like water over stones. "Go fetch water for the well, my husband." Oba froze mid-step. His pride, the pride that once made the earth tremble, quivered. "Fetch water? Me?" he muttered. "I am the lion of Umuocha. Men know they fetch water." Amarae smiled gently, not mocking, just calm. "Yes, men they fetch water when them forget, say wahala, they if them no do Now today, your lesson start." Oba Kene's jaw clenched. He stomped toward the well, dragging his feet, muttering under his breath. Villagers passing by stopped, eyes wide. Some laughed quietly, some shook their heads. The men who once bowed now whispered, see the mighty lion, fetching water like boy. He filled the bucket, careful not to spill a drop, but the humiliation was a fire in his chest. He returned, and Amarae barely looked up. Pour inside the big pot, then go start cooking breakfast. I want to rise early tonight. Yes, my wife, he muttered, voice barely above the wind. The first days were worse. Every task she assigned came with her sharp gaze. If he slacked, she reminded him quietly, Oba, remember Ngozi. You fit, choose shame, or choose respect for yourself. The villagers began to notice the change. Women laughed quietly in the streams, telling each other, Ah, see Oba Kene. See as he dey humble now. One afternoon, a friend called out from across the road, Oba, you dey wash cloth for woman. Oba froze. The words cut deeper than any whip. He looked up to see Amarae, eyes sharp. She lifted her hand slightly. Mind your business, she said. The friend laughed nervously, waving and ran. Oba's face burned red as fire. Weeks passed, and the lion shrank further. His muscles softened from farm labor replaced with housework. His hands, once iron, became careful and gentle as they scrubbed clothes. His voice, once loud as thunder, softened to quiet murmurs when speaking to his wife. Yet he still tried to rebel. One morning, he refused to fetch water. Ah, I am man. Men know they carry buckets. I dey strong, he shouted, chest puffed out, but voice shaky. Amarae looked at him, calm as ever. Oba, if na so you wan do, I go tell the elders everything. Wetin you do to Ngozi, na the same wahala you go meet. You sabi well, say pride day before fall. Oba stared, frozen. Sweat beaded his forehead. For the first time, fear filled his chest. Fear stronger than any anger he ever knew. He bent, shoulders slumping, and muttered, I go fetch From that day, he obeyed every instruction. Amarae never had to raise her hand. One day, he even found himself scrubbing yams for her with a carefulness that surprised him. The rhythm of his movements like meditation, though shame weighed heavy. The villagers began to gossip. Mothers called daughters. See that one? Treat women well, else wahala go catch you like Oba Kene. Fathers laughed, shaking their heads. Men whispered, You see Oba Kene, the lion will fear no one, now fear him own wife. Yet in the house, Amarae never hurt him physically. Her justice was in control, strategy, and patience. She let him live the punishment he had inflicted on Ngozi, only with dignity intact for him to reflect upon. One night, Oba Kene returned from the well with the bucket balanced on his head. He tried to walk fast, careful not to spill. His neighbors, old men who once drank with him and boasted of women they had beaten into silence, stopped in shock. Ah, is that you, Oba Kene? One called. You dey carry water like small pikin. Amarae appeared at the gate, voice calm and controlled. Na so he dey serve me today. You get problem. The men stammered, then burst into laughter. Oba Kene shuffled past, face red as roasted yam. The laughter followed him down the road like a river, and he kept walking, head down. Amarae's control grew. She assigned tasks, but also watched closely. One evening, she asked softly, Oba, remember Ngozi? He froze, guilt and fear twisting inside him. He had tried to forget, tried to bury the past under pride and denial. But now, every time he saw Amarae's steady eyes, he remembered every scream, every bruise, every time he thought he was the master. You they remind me, he muttered. Why? Why they remind me every time? Amarae shook her head. Not to punish you, Oba, but to teach you. Wahala you cause Ngozi. You never fix am. Now, you dey learn what fear is, wahala wey no dey from power but from truth. Oba Kene sank to the floor, hands trembling. He had never felt so powerless, never felt so small. That night, he slept on the mat alone, while Amarae took the bed. For the first time, he experienced humility as a living, breathing thing, heavy, relentless, and necessary. The days turned into weeks. The villagers began to tell stories. See Oba Kene, the lion who bowed for his own wife. Travelers passing through would stop, stare, and laugh quietly. Children would point, "Na so him they serve am." Women would smile, shake their heads, and whisper. Finally, someone they teach him lesson. Oba tried small tricks. One day, he pretended to forget a chore. Amarae watched him quietly. "Oba," she said softly, "you know the rule. You sabi what happened to pride, where they unchecked." He gritted his teeth but obeyed. Another day, he tried to raise his hand in anger. That same calm voice, "Oba, you know they hit me again. Else, you go see shame way past slap." And he learned, slowly, painfully, that the lion cannot roar at the wrong prey without consequence. At night, when the village quieted and only the stars whispered, Oba Kene would lie on the mat, thinking. He thought of Ngozi. He thought of Amarae. He thought of the pride he once had, now broken. And sometimes he muttered to himself, na so e go be. I dey suffer for wahala wey I cause. And Amarae, the quiet weaver who pretended to fear, would sit under the mango tree, calm as river, watching him. Not with anger, not with cruelty, but with justice served. The lion had learned what it meant to bow. The sun had just begun to crown the huts when Oba Kene stumbled into the yard again. Today, Amarae had a new test for him. "Oba," she called softly, her voice calm as morning breeze. "I want you to sweep the entire compound before I start cooking." Every corner, every stone Oba Kene froze, hands gripping the broom like it was a sword. "Sweep everything?" he muttered. "Me?" Amarae's eyes held him still, calm and unwavering. "Yes, and remember, pride day before fall, Oba. You day fall every day." Today in the lesson he began, stiff and awkward, the broom scraping over dirt and dry leaves. Villagers passing by stopped to stare. See, the mighty lion they sweep ground," whispered one, and laughter rippled down the path. Oba's heart burned. Each stroke of the broom felt heavier than any slap he had ever given. And yet, there was no hand striking him, no voice raised, just the quiet, steady gaze of Amarae. By noon, his arms ached, sweat poured down his face. Amarae called softly, "Now, go wash the clothes, the ones for market tomorrow, and do am well, or you dey return again." Oba Kene's jaw tightened. He lifted the water, dipped the clothes, scrubbed with care. This was the life of the lion now. The lion who feared the quietest woman in Umuocha. That evening, the market men gathered under the mango tree, palm wine in hand, whispering and laughing. "Ah, na so e be? Oba Kene dey grind pepper now?" One laughed. Another smirked. "I no go lie. I dey fear am small, but see as him dey humble himself." Oba passed by, bucket balanced on head, muscles trembling from the day's work. The laughter followed him like river water. He muttered under his breath, "I don't tire past Hamatan sun." But Amarae was not done. She had planned a test that would echo through the village forever. "Oba," she said calmly one morning, "I want you to go to the square and fetch my market things. Everyone. And mind, no wahala, no nonsense. Make you dey careful. You fit disgrace yourself if you rush." The villagers were watching when Oba Kene, once feared by all, began the journey to the market. Children pointed, women laughed quietly behind jars of water. His chest, once proud, sagged. Every step he took reminded him of Ngozi. Every scream, every bruise, every night of fear. At the market, he struggled with baskets heavier than any log he had carried on the farm. Sweat poured, hands blistered. Amarae watched from a distance, calm as the river, eyes sharp, and when he stumbled, she merely shook her head. "Oba, pride day before fall," she said softly. Word spread fast. By noon, the market women were whispering, "Ah, see Oba Kene. The lion will fear him wife. They carry basket for market like small boy." The elders shook their heads. Some laughed, some sighed, and a few muttered prayers under their breath. Oba returned home, legs aching, hands blistered. Amarae simply nodded. "Good. Now wash your hands." We stirred soup after Oba dropped to the ground, face burning with humiliation. "Ah, my God, what have I become?" he muttered. Amarae approached, soft but firm. "Oba, this not justice. You sabi the wahala way you cause Ngozi. You never fix am. Today, you dey learn. Tomorrow you go obey without question." Days passed. Weeks passed. The lion continued to bow. The villagers saw him carrying water, grinding pepper, washing clothes, kneeling under the sun to scrub the stones of the compound. The men who once boasted about striking wives now avoided his gaze. Women whispered, "Finally, someone they pay for wahala wey them cause." But then, Oba Kene tried one last trick. One evening, he plotted to sneak into the kitchen after dark, thinking to catch Amarae unaware and claim his old pride back. Amarae was ready. She had predicted the move. As he crept to the doorway, she whispered behind him, "Oba, I dey see you." He froze. His heart raced like a drum in the night. "Ah, you? You sabi?" "Of course I sabi. Pride day before fall. Oba, and your fall day long. Now come. Do what I tell you, or the village go know." Before he could react, she appeared at his side, calm as ever. She took his arm, twisted it gently but firmly. "Remember Ngozi, Oba. Every scream, every bruise, every night you make her cry. You never fix Today, you dey pay, but no fear, you dey learn." Oba Kene's chest heaved. He looked at her, the quietest woman in Umuocha, the one he thought would obey forever, and saw the truth of his own weakness reflected in her eyes. He could not fight it, he could not win, and so he obeyed. He cleaned, he cooked, he served, and the villagers whispered, laughed, shook their heads, and sometimes applauded quietly. Oba Kene had become a living lesson, a cautionary tale of pride, cruelty, and the power of a woman who refused to bow to fear. Amarae never raised her hand again after that. Her justice was complete. Oba Kene had learned humility, fear, and obedience, the hard way, but fully. Some nights, she would sit quietly under the mango tree, looking at him as he swept the compound or washed the clothes, and whisper softly, "For you, Oba, and for every woman who suffered in silence." Oba Kene, once feared by all, now moved quietly through life. His chest no longer puffed, his voice no longer loud. The villagers marveled at the transformation. The lion who thought he ruled all had been tamed by the quietest heart in the village. Children would run past, pointing and laughing, "Oba Kene, they fetch water." Women would whisper to their daughters, "Treat men well, else wahala go come like Oba Kene." And the elders? They nodded, some in shock, some in admiration for Amarae's clever justice. Even travelers passing through the village stopped, stared and asked, "Is that true? Oba Kene, the lion of Umuocha." They obey him, wife. And if anyone asked Amarae, she would simply smile, her voice calm as river. Bullies dey strong when them face weak, but when them meet someone wey no fear, them crumble like dry yam. The morning sun stretched its fingers across Umuocha village, casting golden light on the hot and dust paths. Oba Kene carried water to the kitchen, careful not to spill a drop, his muscles trembling with every step. The villagers who passed by stopped, mouths open, eyes wide. Even the market women, who once whispered in amusement, now stared in awe. "Ah, now so the mighty lion they serve him wife," one muttered. Amarae sat under the mango tree, weaving quietly. Her eyes followed him as he moved, sharp and patient. "Oba," she said softly, "today you rise early, sweep, fetch water and prepare breakfast. I dey watch." Oba Kene groaned quietly under his breath, but he obeyed. There was no room for pride anymore. It had been washed away with every day's labor. And yet, somewhere deep inside, a small spark of regret began to flicker. Every time he saw Amarae's calm face, he remembered Ngozi, her trembling hands, her silent cries, her death. Every slap, every shout, every night of fear came back to him in sharp clarity. That afternoon, the villagers gathered at the stream, murmuring and laughing quietly. Children pointed at Oba Kene, carrying the water buckets back and forth, sweeping the courtyard, scrubbing clothes. See the lion will fear him wife, they whispered among themselves. Women shook their heads, smiling at the justice that had finally come to their village. Oba Kene's friends tried to joke with him. "Ah, Oba, na so you dey now, they carry water for woman." Oba's head dropped. "Yes, my wife they watch," he muttered. His voice was low, quiet, defeated. Amarae approached, calm as ever. "Oba, remember Ngozi. Every scream, every bruise, every night you caused her pain. You no fix am. Today you dey pay, but no fear. You dey learn." Oba Kene sank to the ground, hands trembling. He could feel the weight of all those years pressing on his chest. Pride, once his shield, was gone. Fear had replaced it, sharp and unforgiving. The lion had learned his lesson. Too late for Ngozi, but just in time for himself. Weeks passed. Oba Kene continued to serve. Every morning he woke before Amarae, prepared her food, cleaned the compound and tended to her needs. The villagers watched in amazement, telling their children stories about the mighty lion who had learned to bow. Travelers passing through Umuocha would stop, stare, and ask, "Is it true? Oba Kene, they obey him wife?" Amarae never raised her hand again. Her justice had been served in full, but she never humiliated him beyond recognition. She let him live, let him reflect, let him understand the power of fear and respect. Oba Kene had become a cautionary tale, a living example of what happens when pride meets patience and strategy. One evening, as the sun dipped low and the village quieted, Oba Kene returned from the well, bucket balanced on his head. He approached Amarae, careful and quiet. "Ah, my wife, I have fetched the water," he muttered, bowing his head. Amarae smiled, calm as the river. "Good. Pour it in the pots. Then start cooking breakfast. I want to rise early tomorrow." Oba Kene obeyed, silently, humbly. He had learned that resistance only brought more suffering, and that true strength was in humility, not in force. The villagers noticed changes not only in Oba Kene, but also in themselves. Fathers began to treat their daughters with respect. Husbands who once raised hands began to hesitate, remembering the story of the lion who bowed. Women whispered encouragements to each other. "Do not fear, for strength can be found even in silence." Amarae, meanwhile, started a small business selling woven cloth in the market. Oba Kene's labor allowed her freedom to build her life, while he continued to serve. He learned the rhythms of daily work, the patience required for chores, and the quiet satisfaction in obeying without question. Sometimes, late at night, he would lie on the mat, listening to the wind rustle through the mango leaves. He thought of Ngozi, of the pain he caused, and of Amarae, who had tamed him without cruelty. Ah, "Na so it be," he would whisper to himself. "I dey learn. I dey pay. I dey live." Amarae would sometimes visit Ngozi's grave, place him fresh flowers and whispering softly, "I did it, sister. I made him pay. Rest well." Her voice was gentle, sad, and full of triumph. She had brought justice to the one who could not defend herself, and in doing so, had restored balance in the village. Oba Kene became known far and wide. Travelers would stop to witness the lion who bowed, who scrubbed clothes, carried water, and obeyed his wife. The story spread through neighboring villages, mothers telling daughters, "See this, treat men well, or wahala go find them." Fathers warned sons, "Respect women, or you fit end up like Oba Kene." And so, life continued. Oba Kene, once feared, now walked quietly through the village, head bowed, voice soft. The lion had become a servant, not by force, but by the wisdom and courage of a woman who refused to fear. The villagers marveled at Amarae's cleverness and strength. Mama Ngozi, the oldest woman in the village, shook her head and laughed softly. "Finally," she said, "someone dey pay for wahala wey dem cause. Someone dey teach the lion wey think say e strong years past." Oba Kene's muscles softened from labor, his hands gentle from washing delicate clothes, his voice quiet and careful. And Amarae thrived, respected and successful, free to live her life while the lion learned the weight of humility every single day. The story became legend, a tale told by firelight by the riverside and in the marketplace. "Remember Oba Kene," elders would say to children. "Strength no dey for hand alone. True power dey for heart wey respect others, even when them fear you." And so the village of Umuocha remembered. Pride goes before the fall, cruelty brings consequence, and courage sometimes wears the quiet face of a woman who refuses to bow. Oba Kene, the lion, lived the rest of his life knowing what it felt like to be powerless. And through that knowledge, he learned something no strength could ever teach: respect, humility, and the truth of justice. Even travelers passing by would tell the tale, eyes wide with wonder. "See that man once feared by all, now serves his wife faithfully. And the woman, she taught him what strength truly means." And in the quiet moments under the mango tree, Amarae would whisper, "For you, Oba, and for every woman who suffered in silence." The lion had bowed, the village had learned, and the story, like the river that never stops flowing, continued to echo through the hearts of all who listened.